There is a lot of grinning and bearing it that we as humans have to do every single day, and it really gets exhausting. Whether or not you're talking to your old aunt at a family gathering who wants to know when you're having children, or maybe you're in the grocery store checkout aisle and this middle-aged straight woman needs you and your wife to know that she wishes she could be a lesbian because she hates her husband. You already have to grin and bear it 50 times a day. You should not have to feel that way when you're talking to your doctor about that rash that weirdly looks like your high school crush. Enter Zocdoc, the place where you can find and book doctors who will make you feel comfortable and actually listen to you. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. On a personal note, I have my fair share of medical issues. I have lupus, ADHD, and in the last year, I've broken my pinky toe 3 times, which you can't really go to the doctor for a pinky toe break, but it's nice to know I have the option. I use Zocdoc and you should too. Go to Zocdoc.com/BCC and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/BCC. Zocdoc.com/BCC. Welcome to the chain. This is the BCC Club. We're your hosts. I'm Kendahl and Sarah.
And I'm Sarah Shower. And welcome back, guys. This is season 2 of the BCC Club.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy new season of the BCC Club.
It's 2024. 2014 was 10 years ago.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Wow, I was in such a different place in 2014.
Where were you?
I was in my room. I was deep diving. I was on hour 8 of watching Hannah Hart compilations.
Jesus. Was it just your YouTube channel?
It was like fan edits of Hannah Hart and Ingrid Nilsson when they were starting to date. I also was I had a YouTube channel myself that I posted on every week. Deeply embarrassing. I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, freshman in high school. I was freshman class president.
You were a freshman in high school as a sophomore in college.
Well, I didn't go to college, so it evens out.
You kind of did. I went to
acting school. I know. I feel like people always think I'm like a liar because I will say I didn't go to college all the time because I didn't go to college. I mean, I didn't go to college, but then I will say, oh, when I was in college, I'm just talking about my acting school, which was not really a college, but I call it that. So people are like, did you go to college? I didn't go to college. I mean, I got an associate. How do you say it?
Associates? Yeah.
I got an associate's degree in acting on camera, a deeply unhelpful degree. But yeah, I didn't really go to college.
Is it unhelpful? You're incredibly successful for acting on camera.
Thank you so much. I know, but I guess I could be, I guess I don't know if my degree is why I have my successes, but I've never shown anyone my degree.
It's definitely.
I think I lost it.
Really?
Like the
paper?
Paper.
Well, gotta find that.
Gotta go back.
But I do relate to that because I did go to college for 4 years and I did walk, but I did not graduate. And everyone's like, I've seen pictures of you in your it's like, yeah, but grades got submitted after I walked, so I didn't pass. And so it's like, yeah, I do feel like it's like I have to clarify every single time.
Yeah, it is so funny. I'm like, couldn't you just lie? Do people lie all the time about where they went to college? Because I feel like I've ever only written on things that I went and got an associate's degree, but I feel like I could just write like PhD from Caltech and no one would ask.
I think for any of the STEM fields, you probably shouldn't lie. But if it's anything like marketing or advertising, I say go for it.
All right.
No one's
okay,
life.
because I'm trying to get into the STEM. I'm trying to get a job in STEM that I have no qualifications for.
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah, what are your New Year's resolutions?
My New Year's resolutions are to read 4 books a month. And
oh my
so
God.
far, I know. I've never read
You've been reading a lot.
I've been reading a lot, guys. It's weird. Okay, no. Here's the tip. You got ADHD, you don't like to read. You're like, my mind literally wanders. Put on the audiobook as you're reading.
Oh, yeah.
Because then your mind cannot wander.
No.
And it's also a lot of people with ADHD are verbal processors. So if you read it out loud while listening to the audiobook and looking at it, it's like a triple threat,
It's like I have to read in a British accent out loud.
Really?
Yeah, or I can't stay focused.
Okay,
I can't, but I have to do it out loud.
So there's 2 reading tips, guys. But yeah, I've read 3 books.
Once you're on a reading kick, you can really...
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like I will read 4 books in a month, and then I will go 8 months without reading. And to pick up that first book, I think the trick is to just never stop. Like, don't have a night where you're like, I'm not going to read tonight. Just like keep going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I need my routine. But yeah, every morning since I'm sober, I wake up at like 5 to take my Vyvanse, and then I fall asleep, and then I wake up when it kicks in.
Right.
And then I like to read about an hour in the morning, and it's just really fun. I don't like to read fiction.
I love, that's all I can read.
I like to, this is going to sound bad, and I probably should read a book on this. I feel like if I'm reading fiction, it's not productive reading. Like I'm not learning anything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can read fiction, but
I'm just trying to learn how to read. So that's why fiction can be productive for me. I'm learning a skill.
Therein lies the rub.
Yeah.
No, but I can read fiction. I read nonfiction in the morning because that's when my Vyvanse is kicked in. I need to feel productive. And if I read fiction, it has to be at night on my treadmill. Also, guys, this is another tip for reading. If you can't walk and read at the same time, you know those goggles for
car sickness?
Car sickness?
Yeah, interesting.
It also works if you're walking on a treadmill.
You don't almost fall?
No.
I feel like maybe something's wrong with my body. Every time I'm walking on a treadmill, I feel like I am a half a wrong step away from completely falling and face planting.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that little tab is for.
Oh, I've always got that on. People make fun of me. I had a personal trainer. He was like, you put the tab on? I was like, yeah, I put the tab on. I'm not like, you think you're so cool, but how cool will you feel when you die from falling on a treadmill?
No, seriously, that's like people who wear helmets when they go skiing.
Skiing?
Yeah.
Loser.
You look like but you don't have a concussion. So reading,
that's
practicing German.
How are you even getting your Vyvanse?
Through a doctor?
I haven't had Vyvanse now in a month.
Really?
Because of the shortage. And I can't get it. And every day I call CVS, and I've called every pharmacy on planet Earth.
Are you getting...
There's a nationwide shortage.
Are you getting Vyvanse or the generic?
Both. Any. I will take anything. I used to have Vyvanse, but now I was like, I do the generic. And I did this last year with Adderall, and I was 6 months without medication, which I truly...
Yeah.
I play it cool. But I am hardly functioning off medication. Like, it really is not a good situation.
Oh my gosh.
And I haven't had my Vyvanse now in a month. And so I'm having to come up with all these tricks. It just reminded me when you said that's how you get up is you take your Vyvanse at 5 a.m. and then you wake up. This morning, I have to put a Celsius. I know it's so bad I drink those, but I do. I'm addicted. I have to. That's my cigarettes.
I'm not gonna judge. Yeah.
It's bad. It's not good. Every day, someone's like, "Oh, that'll kill you." I'm like, I can't stop.
It's like my pack of cigarettes at the bedside. Kendahl, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone's got something to say, but my girlfriend's always like, "You gotta stop drinking those." Well, they're holding a Coke. I'm like, look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna give you something. It's all bad. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I have to put my phone across the room underneath a Celsius. So to get up, I have to pick up the Celsius, and then I get excited because my therapist said, ADHD, people with ADHD are very interest-based.
Yes.
So off my medication,
I've also said that.
I said my.
But I'm just telling you what a therapist said.
No, literally, most of my therapy is just telling my therapist things that you've said and being like, thoughts on that? I'll be like, well, Sarah told me that I can read smut because it's interest-based.
But the thing is I'm telling you that because my therapist told me that about ADHD.
They should just talk to each other and then report back to us.
Yeah, they're like, yeah.
But I was like, I don't know what to do. Because I think also being off your medication is hard, but then it honestly would be easier if someone was like, you're not going to have medication for a year, so figure it out. But the in-between where I'm like, well, next week I should have my medication. Well, next week I should have my medication. And then it just keeps going. That is the hard part. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait out this shortage and just suffer, but I need to figure out ways to get my shit together. And so I've had to plan every day. The night before, I make a list of what I have to do, and then I have to order it by like every 3 tasks. I get to do a thing that interests me.
Yes.
So everything is just working towards a thing that for some reason excites my ADHD, which talking to my therapist is really interesting because it's not just like actual exciting things. It'll be like, oh, you got like this new shampoo.
Yeah.
So you get to go take a shower after, or like the other day, if I completed everything, I got to watch the new 2020.
That's so nice.
So it's really like, I do feel like I'm parenting a toddler.
Yeah.
And it is very frustrating. And I think it makes me insecure because I'm like, wow, me off medication is really not great, but that's, not anything to be embarrassed by. It just sometimes can hit your confidence a little.
It's not embarrassing to be off medication you need. Like a diabetic who doesn't have their insulin is not going to be like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
I know.
Give me a juice box.
I know. And that's what I told my therapist. I'm like, if a friend was telling me this, I would be like, that's insane. But I think it is hard when you're like, you realize how you are off medication is like struggling to get through the day.
Let me give you a life hack on getting any medication you need. I live in Beverly Hills. And rich people don't fuck around when it comes to medication. Yeah. All the pharmacies are 24 hours. So go to a pharmacy that is in an incredibly high income neighborhood.
Okay.
And those people, like,
I'm going to Beverly Hills. Because I'll drive anywhere. I literally looked, because I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
In March.
Yeah.
My partner looked up if they had, they called like pharmacies in Japan to see if they had Vyvanse. Turns out it's illegal there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which is really good to know, because it's not just illegal to get it there, it's illegal to bring it there.
Yeah.
And I would have never thought, but you've told me before to look up laws before I go places, and I would have just not. And I'm glad I know, because I would have completely brought my Vyvanse if I had it.
If you were like, I'm going to Dubai, I'd be like, Kendahl, think about this. You and Jordan have got to, but no, yeah. Look up, I have been able to get any prescription for anything in Calabasas and Beverly Hills.
Calabasas and Beverly Hills. Okay, I'm going to look that up after.
Because rich people do, like, they have absolutely beaten down the pharmacists.
Yeah.
They've extended the hours. They literally have altered like how these pharmacies go. And I know that that's, the rich get everything, but like go to a very high income pharmacy.
Okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to Calabasas today.
Do it.
Well, you want to hear my New Year's resolution?
Yes, I do.
It is a quote. And it's, even if you're the ripest and juiciest peach in the bunch, someone won't like peaches. Mm-hmm. That's my mantra for the year.
Yeah, someone will always go into anaphylactic shock
when they see me.
Jeez, yeah.
Because I'm over it. I'm over the people pleasing.
Oh, yeah.
And by over it, I mean I'm still doing it every single moment of every day, but I'm going to try to not.
What was the tipping point that you were like, you know what, enough of this?
I mean, I just am anxious. I don't have anxiety, but I'm always anxious about upsetting people. And I don't think I'm upsetting anyone. And if I am, they'll tell me. But I think it just sometimes I will put my comfort last to accommodate other people in ways that they're not even asking to be accommodated in. It's like I'm making assumptions about what they want for their comfort. I don't want and it just is exhausting. And sometimes I think it can hurt the people around me, because people like my partner, who I'm like, well, I know that even if they're irritated with me, I'm not worried that they're going to be upset. They'll be fine. They won't leave me, I don't think. But so I will like put a random stranger that I've just met, their comfort above like my partner or something. You know what I mean? Because I'm always trying to like figure out a way to make everyone happy. And I think I put myself last a lot in that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just working on it. And trusting that people will voice to me what they need.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, and this is just my opinion, people pleasing, you want to be perceived as a good person. Mm-hmm. This is just advice that I give anyone. Do good things, but never try to be like labeled a good person. Try to get yourself internally with everyone else like neutral, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, like if they project something on you, that's them. You're a neutral being.
Yeah.
Like, trying too hard to be perceived as good is like trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, I don't like peaches.
Yeah.
But if you're like not neutral in like times of like, do you think gay people deserve rights versus like, do you think straight people are superior? I'm neutral. I mean, like, try to view yourself as neither a good nor bad entity.
Right.
And you'll get a lot more freedom,
Yeah, because I'm like, what is the worst case scenario? Is someone's mad at me and doesn't like me? And I think it's always like one of those things where I'm always like, I won't even like someone. Like, I will dislike someone.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm so scared they dislike me. And it's like, who fucking cares? Like, so I just honestly want to, I want to hate more in 2024. That's my New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm like, just be like, who cares? Who cares if that person doesn't like you? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because then it's really frustrating when you spend so much time people pleasing.
Yeah. And
then you find out someone doesn't like you and you're like, what the fuck? Like, actually, what the fuck? I've tried so hard to make everyone like me. And it's like, because you can't have everyone can't like you.
No, seriously.
And if they like you because you've been doing all this people pleasing, do they really like you? Or do they like that it's easy for you to accommodate that? You know what I mean?
Yes. Also, this goes back to our ADHD conversation. Being perceived as good is something that society deems important. However, being perceived as good is not interesting.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to read a book, any English teacher will tell you you need characters who are flawed, and flaws are interesting.
Yeah.
So since you are an interest-based person, you're also going to feel like super frustrated with being perceived as good.
Yeah.
Because that's not even how you live your life, right?
Yeah. I know. It's like I always would take the Pottermore tests, and I was a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
But I would always tell people I was a Slytherin, which is so embarrassing because I'm not at all, and I don't seem like one. But I wished I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a bitch.
Well, I think Slytherins are cunning.
Yeah, but this is the thing. They're hardworking,
Yeah.
but Draco Malfoy didn't work hard a day in that film or those books. He was such a little bitch.
But he was cunning.
I don't know what that means.
I think it means you're good at oral. No, that's cunnilingus. Cunning is having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion.
Well, but he didn't even really have that. I think it is so funny. Draco Malfoy and his parents are such a big part of those films and those books.
Yeah.
And listen, I've seen these movies so many times, I still understand 5% of them. But all I know is the last 5 minutes of the film, his family just runs away.
Yeah.
Like, that's their ending, is that they're like, we're just uncomfortable and scared, so we're just going to leave. That's not very Slytherin.
Well, that's
Very Hufflepuff.
No, that's very war criminal.
And that's exactly right. That's exactly
Disappearing.
right.
They're probably in Brazil right now.
Yeah. You know who disappears all the time?
Who?
People who are always on the move.
They
People
are.
who live in vans.
Gotta love them.
There is a lot of grinning and bearing it that we as humans have to do every single day, and it really gets exhausting. Whether or not you're talking to your old aunt at a family gathering who wants to know when you're having children, or maybe you're in the grocery store checkout aisle and this middle-aged straight woman needs you and your wife to know that she wishes she could be a lesbian because she hates her husband. You already have to grin and bear it 50 times a day. You should not have to feel that way when you're talking to your doctor about that rash that weirdly looks like your high school crush. Enter Zocdoc, the place where you can find and book doctors who will make you feel comfortable and actually listen to you. And we're not talking about a few, we're talking about tens of thousands of doctors, all with verified patient reviews, so you can make sure that the vibes are vibing before you ever meet in real life. With Zocdoc, you've got more options than you know. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. Once you find the doc you want, you can book them immediately. No more waiting awkwardly on hold with a receptionist. On a personal note, I have my fair share of medical issues. I have lupus, ADHD, and in the last year, I've broken my pinky toe 3 times, which you can't really go to the doctor for a pinky toe break, but it's nice to know I have the option. I use Zocdoc, and you should too. Go to Zocdoc.com/BCC and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/BCC. Zocdoc.com/BCC.
We are going to be talking about van life influencers, and we're going to make this distinction now, y'all. So we're talking about van life couples or influencers right now. There is a part 2 that we will tear into in a bit, which is van life influencers who are family van life.
Insane.
Those people are out of their minds. However, we're going to give some grace to the van life influencers who are individuals or couples because...
They're only, you want, I guess.
Yeah, they're only putting themselves through that. And as someone who has lived in an RV a lot of their life, and my brother lives in an RV, and my parents sometimes live in an RV. So I'm very familiar with living in a home that has wheels.
Did you like living in a mobile home?
It's not a mobile home, it's an RV.
Sorry.
It's a
like
4Winds 5000. No,
because I've heard some people are like, "Oh, I grew up and it was fun because you were around a bunch of other kids all the time."
Oh, we were not around a bunch of kids. Okay, so here's the thing. People rent RVs a lot of the times. Like when I was growing up, you would really only see kids on holidays like July the 4th or something. However, there are like short-term, you know what a KOA is?
Yes.
Yeah, there's short term, which is like people who camp, like rent something for a holiday, and then there's long term where you can like rent out spaces. We were with the people who were long term renters.
Got it.
And
Got
so
it.
like very, like, retired, much older. So, like, hey, Miss Laura.
Yeah.
You know, that's our
I
kin.
know KOA because I saw it on Undercover Boss.
Really?
Yeah.
KOA is the only place where I've worked where I just hated, the bosses hated me.
Really? And
Yeah,
you hated them? I worked at a campsite too.
Yeah. Which one?
It was a local one.
Okay.
So it didn't have it wasn't a chain, but I rented out canoes and I rented out paddle boards.
We talked about this.
Yeah, because I would rent out the one person canoe to two people by accident because I didn't know there was a difference. And every time I would just watch them sink for a full hour and then they'd come back and be like, canoeing's hard. And I'd be like, it sure is. I don't know.
I gave you the wrong boat.
And I didn't know. And then one day this girl was training. I was training her.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, that's for one person. And I was like, oh, right. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Anyways, I worked there and I was a horrible employee and I got in trouble. And I remember the boss came in one time because I was going through my first breakup at the time.
Yeah.
So I was a wreck. Like it was
First gay breakup?
I never dated anybody before I was
You kind of
gay.
have, though. You said that you had boyfriends in middle school.
Yeah. I had boyfriends. I had boyfriends every year of elementary school, but we like wouldn't speak. It wasn't like actual in middle school. That was because should have been a red flag that I was gay. Like I had a boyfriend in 8th grade, which is like when some girls I knew were having sex.
Yeah.
And I like would have a boyfriend that I still only communicated with through a friend. Like I wouldn't even speak with them or hold hands with them.
Yeah.
But so I never went through, and I would break up with them and literally not care. Like I would get bored and be like, what should I do at lunch today? Maybe I'll break up with my boyfriend. Like I really did not care.
Oh, yeah.
But I was going through my first like adult breakup. And it's so funny because we were only together like 4 months. And the whole time they were like, I don't really like you. And I was like, that's fine. But I thought we were going to get married like 100%. So it was like the hardest breakup I ever went through. And I was working at this, sorry guys, I'm off my meds. I'm like, what am I talking about?
You're good. It's a new year.
I went, we're starting strong. I worked at this campsite and I just would cry the whole time.
Yeah.
And I would not do any of the work and I would eat all the food. Do you think I could get arrested for that? Announcing on the podcast that
If it's over
6 years ago,
$200 worth of food,
I ate a lot of Slim Jims.
they could take you to small claims court.
All right. Well,
But I mean,
I'd like
you
to see her
probably
try.
could. Yeah, I was
I'd
gonna
like
say.
to see her try. But she came in one day and I was on my phone. I brought my like diary to work and was like writing in my diary. I was a wreck.
Yeah.
And she came in one day and was like, I am sick of you doing nothing. You're a horrible employee. She said, and I remember she said, you're just still, your head is in New York. Your body's here, but your head is just in New York at your fancy little acting school.
Oh my God, what is this, like Grease? Or like, what's that one movie where they can't dance in the town?
Oh, Footloose.
Yeah, like Footloose, your head's in New York, but your body is at the campsite. It's like, okay, chill out.
But anyways, I worked at a campsite and I hated it. But there were a lot of people in RVs there, and so that relates to what we're talking about. And
Yes.
So when did it become popular? The earliest examples of mobile homes can be traced back to the nomadic tribes of Central Asia who lived in yurts or other portable dwellings. In the United States, the history of mobile homes can be traced back to 1920s when car manufacturers began to convert automobiles into living spaces. And in the 1960s and 70s, van life movement gained mainstream popularity in the U.S. During this time, a counterculture movement emerged and many young people embraced the hippie movement, popularizing the idea of living in a van as a way to live a simpler, more connected life.
I don't mean to sound like a Republican, but I fucking hate hippies. That is the only group of people, the cultural appropriation, the peace and love.
Dude.
No, dude, go to therapy.
I just watched a docuseries. I'm actually obsessed with it, honest to God. Did you ever see on TikTok, The Garden?
No.
It was this, they claimed to not be a cult, but this cultish thing they started promoting on TikTok. And they were kind of like, come out, we're doing a commune. Like we're living on this farm and we're making a whole community. And then people on TikTok started being like, this is a cult, whatever. Everything is communal. Like everything is based on like a vote. Everyone has to vote for the same thing. Like they live off the land, whatever. This docuseries is made about this place. And I thought it was just going to be like explaining what it was. It is like a reality show where every single episode, a new person from the outside comes in and does the 10-day trial at this thing called The Garden. And then at the end, they all vote to see if they want to keep them like in the cult.
Yeah.
And it is so funny because it's all white people. I mean, they're all white.
That's your biggest red flag right there.
And it is so weird and so like offensive. Like everything they do is so offensive.
Yeah.
Where it'll be like they'll start at one point this girl started speaking a language and I was like, what language is she speaking? She said she was like speaking the language of like the wind or something, where she was like, well, this isn't a real language. This is just like what's coming to me. But it like sounded like someone doing an impression of a language they don't know that was deeply offensive, where you'd be like, no, stop doing that.
Well, I mean, this is speaking in tongues.
Yeah, but it didn't sound, it sounded like an impression of like Spanish, but she like didn't speak Spanish. You know what I mean?
So yeah.
It was like it's very weird, but it was really funny and just like embarrassing because a lot of these people do not know how to, it was a funny mix because it was a lot of people who are like, I want to live on a commune, but when you're doing that, you're a hop, jump, and a skip away from like Trump supporters who think the world is about to end and they need to prepare for like the second coming or whatever.
Yes.
And so a lot of people were coming to do the trial that were like, can I bring my gun? Like, I'm ready to like shoot a bunch of people. And they were like, no. And it just like, but then they were like, well, we don't like this person, but that's not a commune. To have a commune, you don't, that's when it becomes a cult if everyone has to believe the same stuff.
Yeah.
So then it was hard because anyways.
No, yeah.
I'm explaining this horribly, but.
No, you're not. That's a cult. They
once
were
I
in a
get
cult.
my Vyvanse, you guys, it's over for you.
Kendall, you're doing great.
Thank God.
You've communicated. You told me like you're very succinct, right?
Good,
like,
okay, good.
So this is just hippies, and I do want to say there's a difference between hippies and people who do live in like a trailer park. So at the same time, vans were becoming popular for social justice reasons. They were used to transport people to rallies, protests, polling locations. The legendary Esau and Jenny Jenkins, a black couple in South Carolina, hell yeah, utilized a 66 VW microbus and several repurposed city buses in their mission to provide opportunities for the African American people in their community.
I mean, I think it is like when you talk about what's classy if you're rich and trashy if you're poor. Because
yes.
I saw a TikTok the other day of like these two people who were dressed in very like hippie outfits, and people were like, one of the top comments was like, you guys are pretending to be hippies, but you live in this huge house. And then the comment below was like, hippies have always been rich white people. Like that no one else could afford to not work a job, get a car, and just like do whatever they fucking want.
Yeah.
Like that is what it's always been. So I think it's a little bit of an embarrassing persona to have because it's like pretending to be, it's like living out your poor fantasies almost. And it's like, oh my God. Unless you're like, I'm rich, but I care so much about the environment. I'm like, okay, pop off. But like, it hasn't, caring about the environment has nothing to do with like the clothes you're wearing or like pretending that you're, I don't know, doing these weird like chants that are super offensive.
Yeah. No, So a lot of hippies, if you boil them down to like their purest form, they're a counterculture movement, right? Like punks or like emos. And so like counterculture, you are trying to like get out of popular culture. So like seeing a rich hippie is like goes against what counterculture means. You are of the culture and you are parading as counterculture. It would be like seeing someone who's like super punk and like grunge wearing like a Rolex watch.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, that's not just like a lapse in like your style.
Yeah.
That literally goes against what your aesthetic, because it's not just an aesthetic, it's a full lifestyle, which white people cannot seem to grasp. So always be wary when you see white people in mass in the woods. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's just...
All of our Appalachian followers are like, what the hell? What did you... Sorry.
Oh, that is funny. In 2012, the hashtag van life became a trending topic. Mm-hmm. American Foster Huntington pioneers the hashtag van life on Instagram. Huntington, a former designer in New York's competitive fashion industry, got widespread attention when he ditched his career, hit the road, and started documenting his road trip adventures. He once said that he started the hashtag as a joke. The van was breaking down a bunch, and there wasn't this crazy, hokey, inspirational thing when I started it. Mm-hmm. So then it became very popular. And now I think people truly, I think it's very fascinating that becoming an influencer is really become like a very common career aspiration.
Yes.
I think it used to be like, oh yeah, there's one girl in my college who's like obsessed with becoming an influencer.
Yeah.
But I feel like I know so many people who I went to high school with who are like posting, aspiring to be a content creator because it can be anything. It's not like, oh, you should be a personality. There are people who will like invest in vans as if they were opening a business, like take out a loan to be like, I'm going to invest a bunch in this van so that I can document it and then become a famous van life influencer.
Yes.
So it's really become like a really big thing.
It has.
Where people like quit college to do this as a career. It's like you think it's going to be cheap. Like a lot of people will be like, this is going to be a much cheaper way to live.
You'd be wrong, buddy.
And I will watch people half renovate a bus. That was crazy. People started buying school buses. And I knew someone who bought a school bus and then tried to start renovating it. And you can see them being like, oh my God, I'm renovating a full house. Like that is like, I want to renovate my bathroom right now. It's going to cost like 10 grand to 15 grand.
Yes.
That's just the bathroom.
It's true.
It's like, imagine making you're building a small house.
Yes.
Like everything is so you get one thing of paint, that's like $40.
Yeah. And I'd say the tricky part is you can build the cabinets, you can install a little fridge, but once you get to the sink and the toilet and the shower, honey, you need some
plumber.
You need help. Gray water, black water, you don't want them to mix.
No.
Okay. But yeah, 2018 is when it really started to get like insane numbers with an estimated 4 million people living out of vans and cars. My brother lived out of his car his entire med school.
You told me that. Insane. Out of choice, to be clear. Not insane to live in your car, but insane.
I was like living in the area and I was like, Jake, come live on my, sleep on my sofa. And then he moved out after a couple of weeks. He's like, sorry, I just like the car better. And I was like, do you know how insulting that is? It's like you invite someone to live with you for a little bit and they're like, I love the back seat.
Yeah. Honestly, though, when I was going to acting school, I went to a couple boys' apartments that it could have been a car.
Are you saying I'm foul?
I'm saying no. I would rather live at your house than in my car. But I just mean that there are some men that I understand how they could live in a car because the way they live is just like simple. Mm-hmm. It's just like they've got one Cetaphil face wash, dry shampoo, and a dirty towel, one towel.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you could fit this in a car.
Yeah.
Not a single succulent. Not
Seriously.
a lotion. Well, one lotion right next to the bed, I guess.
One lotion?
One bottle of lotion right next. But I'm like, oh yeah, you could fit that in a car.
Yeah.
Easy. Some men are disgusting.
I know. My dad also, when we lived in North Carolina, they lived in Wilmington. My dad would commute for half the month up to D.C. Mm-hmm. And so he had this big old... it was like a handicap accessible van with like the door opens.
Oh, yeah. I've driven those.
You know them?
That's what I grew up in. I called it the spaceship.
But my dad didn't need, he didn't need it, but he would he ripped out 2 of the seats and installed like a bed and he would just sleep in there half the month, all the time.
In your driveway?
No, up in D.C.
Yeah, that's what you said. Got it. Sorry.
So,
I was like, oh man, the marriage must have not been going well.
No, each one of my family members has such a deep connection to living in a car or vehicle.
Man, I mean, it depends on the car, I guess, because I grew up in a Prius. You can't live in a Prius.
No.
A Prius is small.
You'll be stunted like a gymnast.
Some of the worst sensory memories I have growing up, my sister had a Beetle.
Uh-huh.
You know, a punch buggy.
Yes.
What do they call them? And a bug. And it had leather seats. Should be illegal. I actually believe that should be illegal.
Uh-huh.
Leather seats in a car, unacceptable. Unless you live in, I don't know, Alaska.
Yeah.
Still very cold.
I have leather seats, but they're light.
I think that should be illegal. I'm sorry.
Okay, well.
I don't think it should be legal.
My ass
too
is
hot. It's too hot.
Yeah.
And I think the AC was broken and she would pick me up from school and I just remember sitting, it was like 3rd-degree burns on my ass.
Oh, yeah.
And just sitting in the smallest space you could imagine because it didn't have doors. You have to it's one of those cars you have to push the front seat back and then you can get in.
I hate those.
Good God, it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. But I would never purposely want to live in a car, especially in the city because it's very stressful to find where to park. I guess in a small town, I could make any area nice, put up some fairy lights.
Yeah.
But I think it's much more expensive than people think, and they do it to save money, and then it is the most expensive thing ever.
I would say, the main thing I think about is the danger. There are some pros, like saving money, financial freedom. All right, so you do save money, but it is still expensive. It is more expensive if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Okay, so, you're not paying for electricity, cable, internet, rent. If you are a long-term renter at a campground, that is not true. You will pay for utilities. I don't know if it'll be included. Depends on how nice you're parked, like the place where you're parked. Yeah. But you will use those significant less electricity and water if you're living in an RV. So that's,
But it's also because, we're not talking about people who like need to live in their cars. So, because I'm like, that's probably cheaper or you have to do it out of necessity. But these are people who like are on the internet and are trying to make like aesthetic videos, which just naturally is going to be more expensive because everything has to look nice.
Yeah.
So I feel like they end up, and it says, although some of these influencers seem to use a lot of electricity, it's like, they have all these like lights up and they have like this really fancy thing they wash their clothes in, and it just becomes kind of like, more expensive than just living in a house. Also, I think it's really funny because people get this I think road trips get very glorified. And I've had wonderful road trips. My mom and I went on a road trip from New York to California. It's one of my greatest memories. It was a lovely time. But in general, just traveling by car is really glorified. And I think people get these cars and they're like, I'm going to fucking travel the United States in this car. And it's going to be incredible. And I'm going to do that forever. I'm just going to travel the world, it feels like what they think. But you can't travel the world in a car. You can only travel the U.S. And most of the U.S. is just barren, like I would say. Like the middle of the U.S. is just nothing. Literally nothing. Just barren land. Not even farms, just nothingness.
Yes. But there are cool van life influencers. Yes. I don't want it to make like, but we're talking about the people who we're talking about when, I don't know, if a lot of people shit on mobile homes. And so I don't know where I'm going with this, but I feel like there are some, but now I'm realizing there are some cool van life people.
There are. I don't think it's bad at all. I just think it can be more expensive than you think it's going to be.
Yes. And with the point that we're leaning into is trashy if you're poor, classy if you're rich.
Yeah.
The perspective. But yes, sorry, I don't know why I needed to say that.
No, I understand. I think because it sounds like we're shitting on them, but I really am not. I think it's one of those things, if you want to do it, that's awesome. I just think sometimes people think it's going to be a certain way, and it is not that way. I think they think it's going to be cheaper, and it's not. I think they think it's going to be like, we're traveling every day to a new city, but it's like, no, like you're traveling on like the middle of nowhere, and then you get to like a small town in Iowa and are just like, here I am. I can go to a Wendy's. Like, it's really not. I think sometimes it can be very glorified, and it is very hard.
Yes. Like moving to LA, right? Like if you manage your expectations, you hear a lot of influencers say like, I moved to LA and everyone's fake. It's like, take a look in the mirror. You likely are hanging out with people who are fake, because we both moved to LA and we've met amazing communities of people. Yeah. And like, so what does that say about you? Sorry, I'm not going to blame. Also, it depends.
I think it's also what you make it. Like, I think you need to know what you're doing it for. Like, I think if you're like, well, I want to like go off the grid for like an environmental reason.
But do they want to go off the grid if they are posting their van life stuff online?
I don't think so, but there's a lot. I mean, there's like off the grid influencers, which is very funny because you can't really be off the grid if you're an influencer.
That's an oxymoron.
Yes, 100%. And there are those. So I think it's very, but I think if you know what you're doing it for, if you're just like, I want my life to be more simple and not as like intense and have to do all this stuff, and I want to live in a car to do that, then you're going to live it in a very specific way. Or if you're like, oh, I want to do it for environmental reasons, that's going to be a very different thing. Or if you're like, I want to be a famous influencer, I think if you want that, it's going to be more expensive than living in your house.
Yeah.
Because you also have to go to interesting places. Because gas is expensive too. So if you're like, I'm going to be driving all the time. Yeah. 24/7 I'm driving. It's going to get expensive.
Well, I think they also park at like, and then just, I don't know. Okay, there's more.
Do you want to be a van life? You want to move into a van?
Oh, no. I have, since my childhood, I cannot live in, I hate road trips. Like if you talk about glorified road trips, I have had so many of my lowest moments, scariest moments on a road trip. But there's pros to this. We're going to keep going. You stay stationary to avoid gas bills. You're never paying for hotels. I guess that's true. There's a kitchen in the van. If you do have a van with a kitchen, you could also use a hot stove.
Yeah. It is funny. It says kitchen and van, so no eating out. But I'm like, well, there's kitchens and houses and people eat out all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I feel like you could also still do the same thing. We're like, oh, it'd be easier to just go get food though.
Yeah. Well, I guess like maybe the kitchen is literally right next to your bed, so you don't have to move. But there's also the ability to travel more, be on your own schedule. Being on your own schedule, often couples work remotely. Yeah, my brother is a physical therapist, but he travels, and his wife is a traveling nurse. So they live in an RV and they travel around the country.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's, you don't need to worry about checking in and out of hotels. Yeah. Okay. Also, we have a new research assistant, Mia. You did wonderful if you're listening to this. And she got a new opportunity. Congratulations. We have a new research assistant called Jake.
Jake.
And what's crazy is that's my brother's name. So, yeah.
Don't get confused.
I know. If Jake, my brother, lives in an RV, and then Jake, our research assistant, lives in New York.
Yeah. Yes.
But, yeah. And then you also, you can be spontaneous. There's also the convenience of always having all your belongings. Yeah. I mean, that's like you got stuff close to you all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you had an apartment, just walk to the kitchen.
Yeah. It's like not. Also, I would get sorry, you keep listing pros and then I keep going, but actually here's a con, which is not helpful. But just the thought of living in my car gives me so much anxiety, like purposely living in my car and being like, I want to do this. I think especially because if your car breaks down, you're really in a shitty situation.
Yeah.
It's like your house can't, unless it's like a tornado takes it.
Yeah.
Your house can, under very rare circumstances, does a house break so much that you cannot go back into it.
Yeah.
But a car can definitely do that. So it would just be really shitty to be like, well, now I'm out of a car and that means I'm out of a home, and which happens all the time. I think it can be hard too, because these are things people go through all the time, like in the houseless community, and so it feels like sometimes rich people doing a little cosplay where you're like, oh yes, that is hard. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's weird to say, but
no, yeah, I understand what you mean. I think I could. I have lived in. Actually, I've lived in a car for a little bit in college, but that was between rental properties. I could live in my car right now. The only thing that would piss me off is my cat's litter box.
Oh God!
Just that tight.
And the leather seats.
It's not bad. They're tan, so they don't get too hot.
Oh, black leather seats. My sister growing up had black leather seats.
That's
offensive.
I know.
It's really awful. There's also, you can customize your space.
We're going to move on to cons.
Because Kendahl clearly wants to get to the cons.
Yeah.
No, there are obviously positives. I also think some people really just life is really stressful. I mean, houses are very stressful, and there's a lot to upkeep. Like, even I always say, I'm like, it is so wild because my partner and I live in our 2-bedroom apartment. It's so tiny. We don't have a backyard. It's so small. And the HOA takes care of everything on the outside of our apartment. So it is just the inside of our apartment. And I am trying so hard to keep it clean at all times, and it is so hard, and to take care of everything. And just when everything's taken care of, something happens. Like the other day, I was like, the house is clean. I just need to do the dishes. And then I went to go do the dishes and the garbage disposal was broken. I had to have a plumber come and fix the And so there's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's for such a small house. So when people have these massive houses, I'm like, that is so much upkeep. That's like a full-time job.
Yes.
So I understand if you're like, I want to move into a really simple, small space. Mm-hmm. And I get it if you really like nature. I do think that makes sense to me when people are like, I want to see every American national park.
Yes.
And I love hiking. I'm like, van life totally makes sense to me for that.
Yeah.
But if you don't like nature, I feel like it is a bad idea to, for fun, live in a van.
Yeah. I think it's I don't like nature. So, and I've also lived this life. I'm coming from the perspective of like if I was straight, the idea of living with a man would absolutely rot my insides. You know what I mean?
But then you probably weren't straight if the idea of living with a man rots your insides.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm not condemning people who live with men, but I'm like, that shit's not for me.
No.
You know what I mean? And so I don't like nature, and it's not that I can appreciate it. It's just it's not for me.
Yeah.
But there are some cons. Speaking of which,
if you can believe it.
last name, showering. Sorry, I just rubbed my lip on this. Many people shower at gyms. Oh yeah, I love showering at the gym.
I've never done it.
Really?
No, I'm really scared of getting athlete's foot.
Just wear shoes.
Oh, all right.
It makes me feel powerful and old.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I feel mature when I shower at the gym.
Okay, interesting.
Because like everyone else is older.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like when you hang out with your older friends.
Yeah. What do you mean? Are you showering in groups?
No.
At the gym?
No, LA Fitness has like individual showers. It's just like the people who walk around nude are like older women.
Older women, okay.
And so I
feel like at my gym, there's never older people. It is just really young, mean people. And I don't like it.
Well, then that's why you shouldn't shower at the gym.
Some people have outdoor shower setups attached, but that requires driving to a very remote area. Not for me. I do it anywhere. Parking lot of a Walmart, perfect place to shower. And can be a big safety concern, especially if alone. Some can install a full shower in the van, but that can be expensive and take up a large chunk of space. That would be so intense.
Or you could have like a wet room where you have your shower that's combined with your toilet, so your toilet is meant to get wet. Or if you have an outdoor shower, you could have like a curtain and you could just put on I've done this a lot, put on like a bikini and like shower literally anywhere.
I mean, you can get one of those like universal like Crunch memberships.
I thought you were saying Universal passes or something.
You can get a Universal Studios pass and then you could shower there all the time in the sink, but you could still have fun, ride rides.
Yeah.
No, you can get like a Universal gym membership for like a specific brand of gym, and then you can like use any of their gyms in any location, and then you could just shower. You could shower at those.
Yeah.
That'd be like $45 a month, which is like, but I'm like, if you're doing that and then you're paying for all the gas, you're getting up to just a normal rent. And you're living in the smallest thing of all time.
Depending on how many axles your van or RV has, you could probably park with the trucks at the truck stops, and truck stops usually have like a rent-a-shower system.
Okay, I don't know what an axle is, but...
Like when they're like weighing cars.
Oh, okay.
They're like, if this has like 6 axles, you got to pull off.
Wow. There's not much space. Another con. There's not much space in a van. There's no privacy at all, especially with kids. No kid has the luxury of having their own room or bathroom. Everyone seems to share literally everything. Some van parents are considered child abusers because kids' beds are so cramped. They always look like, have you seen those hotels in Japan where it's like pods?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it always looks like. It's like so tiny. And it's always so sad. They're like showing off, and I know we're going to talk about this in another episode, but the kids will be like showing off their shelf. They're like, see, I have a ton of space. This is where I keep my books. And it's one shelf, and they're like, this is my special shelf.
So here are some examples of van life influencers. We have Court and Nate with 2.5 million on TikTok. They've been living in a van for nearly 2,000 days. They insist they have full-time jobs, and they're not supported by a trust fund. They're very adamant about this. Usually if someone has to tell you multiple times, I am not a trust fund baby, they are a trust fund baby. They build everything from scratch despite having zero prior experience with vans and little knowledge about installing any appliances. They took out a big loan, moved out of their apartment, lived in an empty van for 8 months while they built up the inside. And they talk about how boring their life actually is. I mean, I could see that happening. Like, if your content is renovation, it is very slow to produce, right? And then one of their pinned posts shows, like, realistic van life, spilling eggs. They've published a van build guides where they teach people who want a similar life.
Spilling eggs? What is that? That's not a realistic... I mean, I've never spilled an egg.
It would be realistic if, like, they propped up the phone on the dashboard while the guy was driving, and she's trying to make eggs while they're driving. He's like merging on the 405. Yeah. Van life, guys.
Van life. What are you gonna do?
But they published van build guides where they teach people who want a similar life different possibilities to structure a van home. I feel like you should maybe take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I don't doubt their, expertise through experience, but they have no formal training. So for the electrical and the water, really consult with the specialist.
Yeah.
Who else?
There's Will and Meebs. Younger couple, recent college graduates, started this van life less than 6 months after dating. They bonded over not knowing what to do with their life, so agreed van life sounded fun. Meeps has some savings and works in mental health, and Will has part-time engineering job. They loved it at first, but got really lonely during winter when they couldn't spend much time outdoors, so they were confined to staying in the van most days. wow, I really think I would be fine. I am so really realizing how introverted I am, where I was like, oh, some people really need to see people. And I think I could never see, I would miss you, but I think I really could never see another person again and I'd be okay.
Yeah.
And I love people. It's not about a lack of liking people. I think people are awesome. I'm not like, I hate people. I don't want to see anyone ever again. I just think I would not like get upset or depressed or crave human interaction. I think I would go the other direction where I would just get more. I mean, that's why I was so scared during the pandemic because I was so fine not seeing people. I know people were like, oh, I'm having to have Zoom meetings every day with my friends so we can see each other. I was so comfortable just being by myself in my room and whatever. And I went so long doing that. But by the end of the pandemic, I had to push myself so hard to do social stuff because I was like, I'm slowly becoming a person who's just antisocial, doesn't see anyone ever.
Yeah. No, yeah, I love hanging out with people, but I prefer to be alone.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. There's also Kaylee King, who has 806,000 on TikTok, started living in a van with her husband, then got separated, lives with her cat, Big Chungus, and everyone loves Big Chungus. I mean, I think that's really cute. The only thing is I couldn't live with Dopey because Dopey, as soon as he gets in a vehicle, starts yelling.
Yeah.
Like we're fine, right?
Yeah.
There's also Sydney Ferb, who has 325,000 on Instagram, has lived in a van for 6 years, and just recently bought a house, but says van life won't stop.
Well, it did because you just bought a house.
Yeah.
Her first video buying a house tells the audience that van life now makes her appreciate things like having hot water that doesn't run out quickly and enjoying mundane tasks like using a dishwasher. Quote from the video in the van, "The bench gives me a place to hang out."
And then Jake says she has a 1 foot long seat where she can hang out, meaning sit and stare at the wall.
Oh, no.
I mean, I guess that staring at a wall is hanging out.
Yeah. There's also Savannah and Drew. They have 40K on Instagram, and they are full-time musicians who live in a van together. Honestly, that makes sense. I think anyone who wants to tour is starting is wanting to be a musician or a stand-up comedian, and they're wanting to tour around. I would say that makes sense to me. I think they're very specific scenarios. It took $30,000 plus 5 months of work just to set up the van. They use their joint Instagram promoting the van life as a way to also promote their solo music endeavors. They also sell custom shower pans for fans to buy to install a shower in their own minivan.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you stand in it. There is another topic of family van life, but just like after reviewing this, if you want to live in a van, that is so incredible, and it is a lot of hard work, and you can get electrocuted quite frequently.
And
but if you're like, what's that thing, that 2012 quote? It's like my soul, I'm a nomad.
Oh, I don't know.
Born to walk, forced to sit. What's that?
I don't know. This came out in 2012?
No, what's that saying of like, it's about the journey.
Not all those who wander are lost.
Yeah, like that sort of thing. Sorry. Like, I mean, if you, like, I mean, we're two people who took on creative endeavors that are not, like, this is a lifestyle that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah, podcast life.
Podcast life.
Hashtag podcast life.
So in a similar way, like if you're trying to be a van life influencer or just an influencer, right? Like you have to manage your expectations, put in the hard work. Don't be afraid of getting electrocuted.
Yeah.
But it's just like, but also if you idealize it too much, you got to manage your expectations. Yeah.
That's what I think most of them, that is what I say. Some people live a simple life. I love that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't, but I could get into it. But not in a van. Sometimes I dream about living on a farm with like a cow and a pig, and
I think
that would be nice.
I think I'm pretty simple. I have like almost no thoughts running through my head. No, I mean like I have to say things out loud to understand things. Like at any given moment, I'm not thinking anything.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I am similar. And I think I also, people are like, people are right now being like, why do I listen to this podcast? These two people are so stupid.
You're saying me.
We're never thinking anything. But I do feel like that's how I am. And I feel like anytime I am so excited by sitting in my house, I don't think I get bored very easily. I think that I could just, I think I don't get very excited for things. Even if you were like, oh, Kendahl, you're going to, meet the president. I don't know, that was the most exciting thing I could think of. It's not that exciting, but I would be, I mean, something that most people are like, oh my God, I get to meet the president. I think I'm like still right in the moment. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to get to go do this thing. But 20 minutes before I have to leave, I am like, I would pay any amount of money to not have to do this thing, no matter what it is, even if it isn't going to Disneyland. Even if I'm excited before right before I leave the house, I am just like, I wish I could stay here and not go do this thing.
Yeah.
So I would thrive in van life, but I do think some people think it's going to be like, they picture the highlights. They're like, oh, I'm going to be like traveling the country and we're going to be laughing on a hill and looking out and eating sandwiches. It'd be fun. But most of it is just like sitting in silence. And being like, and it's not like you have anything to talk about with your partner because you've just been sitting in a car doing nothing, so there's not really anything. I mean, you could discuss philosophies of life, but you can only do that so long.
Yeah, I think you either have to have no thoughts for van life, or like, I don't know.
I love to read. If you love to read a lot, I think you could enjoy it.
I couldn't be able to read with the bugs.
Oh, I hate bugs.
Also, like, I'd be scared of, I know there's like a safety aspect of, you'd have to like lock the doors. And I mean, like, I lock my car doors.
Yeah.
But like, you know, people mess with your car, they like shake it.
Yeah.
I feel like that would like really scare me. Just, but also, I find public places to park. I don't know if you can park overnight in a Walmart parking lot. I think I tried once. But Cracker Barrel has RV parking. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
If you're is Cracker Barrel across the U.S.?
It gets very scarce over here, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could go from Cracker Barrel to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. Okay, wait, that's a tour I'd do.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Wow. My dream, I think if you were to tell me to pick one dream I could achieve, it would be to have one of those, like, Kendall Landreth Takes on America shows.
Yeah.
Where it's like Kendall goes to a Louisiana horse racing club and rides horses for a day. And do you know what I mean? Those the travel shows?
Yeah.
That was my dream.
While you're doing that, I'm getting massive breast implants.
How big would you go?
Okay, the thing is I don't know if this makes sense. I was talking to, it doesn't actually matter. I want to be Jennifer Coolidge when I get older. I'm nearing my 30th birthday. And it's not, I know like getting boob implants, you know, like centering men, but it's just because I want to communicate an aesthetic. There's something wise about large boobs, you know, and I want to be like a breathy Southern woman. Yeah. Like, you know, you see me in a juicy tracksuit and you're like, oh my God, she should be in Myrtle Beach. And I can't achieve that look with
without
small boobs.
Are you going to get a boob job?
I might, yeah.
Do it.
But I can't get massive.
Double D's?
Maybe.
It's not that great. I mean, I have double D's.
You do? Mm-hmm. I've never looked.
All right. Well,
how do they weigh? I don't know.
Just the two of them?
How do you feel?
It's fine. I mean, I'm probably gonna get them removed eventually, but I don't love them, but they're not like it's not the weight of them.
Yeah.
But some people have, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, when I run or if I do exercise, it doesn't hurt I don't have back pain from it or anything, but it's just like boom, 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 boom. It's like, oh my God, this is annoying.
That was more of what I was asking, like the back pain. Like, not like so much like when you wake up in the morning, are you aware of them? You know, like.
Yeah. No, no, I mean, I'm used to them. I'm used to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have really big boobs and I don't love having big boobs, but some people, I think it just depends on because I know some people want the biggest boobs ever, and I've always been like, that's so crazy, but it's just person to person.
I just have like this, if you ever look at my face, without looking at my body, it suggests that I've got massive knockers.
Yes, I understand that.
If you look at my face in any photo and you hold a little piece of paper over my body,
someone would say they have big boobs.
You ask a friend, does this bitch have big boobs?
But I think you'd think I have small boobs for my face.
Can I be honest with you?
Huge boobs?
No.
No boobs.
I have never been more shocked at someone's backside than seeing your backside. Kendahl has like a good butt. Like I was you wear bicycle shorts, and I'm being like a friend about this.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not.
I always wear bicycle shorts. They're comfortable.
Your body matches, and then I'm like, yes, Kendahl, you know. But sometimes you turn around and I'm like, Kendahl, what? Sorry.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
I'm trying to be friendly about it. Like it's like.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's not perverted. It's not perverted at all. It's good.
Sorry.
It's good. It's nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. You wouldn't expect me to have a big butt, is what you're saying?
No, I didn't expect it. You give me Billie Eilish vibes when it comes to like how you dress. Like I feel like everything's baggier than you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's the clothes that are deceiving.
Sure.
Yes.
I can't wear baggy clothes on my butt.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I used to be insecure about it in high school.
Really?
But now I've accepted it. I was like, I hate, because people would be like, oh, you have a big butt. And I would be like, I wish I was small.
Oh, yeah.
But now I'm like, whatever. It's fun.
Yeah.
It makes me feel very, I'm like, oh, I should have a baby because I feel like I have, as they'd say, childbearing hips.
I was going to say birth and hips?
They have birth and hips.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? That's not probably a good reason to have a baby, just because I feel like my body's ready.
Because it would suit me. It'd
be an easy natural birth. That's not a good reason to have a baby.
I've always wanted bigger shoulders, broader shoulders. I've always been jealous of swimmers.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's something like...
Why don't you get into swimming?
My hair. Like, I know that you can wear a swim cap, but like, I'm scared it'll rip out. I love my favorite body parts when someone has a really nice back, broad shoulders.
Yeah.
The swimmer girls, they've got it made.
Yeah.
But then I love a big old rack. I want to be big up top, and I know normally that's not something.
You want to be like the guy who's like a bodybuilder, was like a cartoon.
Oh, Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, want to be Johnny Bravo.
I would love to be a jacked Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then the only other thing I would work on my body, but not for because I hate the way it looks, is get a little bit of lipo on my thighs, just because I've ruined so many pants by my thighs rubbing together.
Do you know what gets scary about liposuction?
What?
I've heard I heard this from one person. I don't remember who it was, and it's not based in any fact or article I've read. So take this with a grain of salt. But I heard that when you get liposuction, you can lipo it all out, but it won't grow. The fat will not come back there, but it could come back somewhere. It will then go to somewhere else. If you got more like fat in your body again, it wouldn't be able to go there, so it would go somewhere else. Like some people will get it in their chin right here, but then the fat will come back in their cheeks.
Well, the thing is where it's just keeping a mental note of if you're getting it lipoed, where is the other places that you gain weight? Yeah. Like the other place that I gain weight, if I got my stomach lipoed, my thighs the fat, because you literally suck out the cell, like, so my thighs would be the place where I see the most noticeable change, or my arms or face. It's where I balloon. Yeah.
Where I Balloon is a beautiful biography title for some reason. Yeah. Where I Balloon.
The Tales of Lipo.
The Tales of Lipo. Well, thank you all for joining us for our first episode back in the new year. Well, I guess not the first episode that's out in the new year, but the first episode we're recording in the new year.
Of season 2.
It always is so funny how behind the episodes are. Because I was listening to one the other day to send in edits for it, and it was like, well, next week is Thanksgiving. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's so long ago.
I know, and that's the beauty of recording
magic,
in advance.
Baby. That's movie magic. Well, thank you all, and I hope that you're all having a wonderful new year, since we haven't been able to say yet Happy New Year, and we hope that you are just achieving all your dreams and goals, and that you are just feeling very refreshed in 2024.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a good year.
Oh, yeah. And Kendahl, do you have a new podcast out?
Oh, my God, Sarah! Enough. I do have a new podcast out. It just launched today, actually. The teaser for it. We announced the podcast. And the first episode comes out on January 29th. Mm-hmm. It's called Happy Wife, Happy Life. My fiance and I.
You didn't tell anyone.
I know. Okay, we'll talk about the next episode.
All right.
I did get engaged this last month. And we just talk about relationships, and we have guests. And so if you're interested in that,
guys, what are you doing?
But it's on Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast, as well as the BCC Club, anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're listening on somewhere, make sure to rate us. Say something nice. Comment down below your New Year's resolutions. I don't know. We love you guys.
All right, we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.